Let's talk about the 40k value kits that are going to be going soon. 10th edition might spell some interesting changes for the game, but it could be the death knell for a bunch of quite good value kits from Games Workshop. Hello and welcome back to Warspets Tactics, where today we're talking Space Marine and Necron deals, and in particular just a bit of a heads up that the fairly excellent value starting sets for Games Workshop are likely to be on their last legs, and if you did want to pick up any discounted Space Marines or Necrons, it might just be worth thinking about these before they go. What made me think about a video on this topic was the 8th edition starter sets that we had in the past, and in particular how it was very easy to get certain units back in 8th edition, but then when they went out of production, if you wanted to add things like, say, a Lord of Contagion, Feature Bloat Drone, or Inceptors to an army, everything gets a bit more expensive. Out of the 8th edition Warhammer 40k starter sets, I feel like the No Fear box was by far the best value. This was their slimmed down offering that just focused on miniatures, and you got this little army of Death Guard here, a Bloat Drone, Poxwalkers, Plague Marines, and a Lord of Contagion, against a Gravis Captain with some Intercessors, Hellblasters, and Inceptors. In Games Workshop's recent history in terms of the models and the points that you can get on the board for the cost, I feel like this was perhaps one of the best deals they've done in a very, very long time. All of this was just £50 or $80 and perhaps contains miniatures that Games Workshop probably wouldn't be too ashamed to put in a Combat Patrol box set these days that cost twice as much, never mind the fact that you get two different armies in one box, not one. I think if Games Workshop were to re-release this at some point, then it would be very, very popular with certain Space Marines and Death Guard players who didn't get their hands on it, and it made me think about the current 9th edition starter kits that are going to be rotated out, and how much they'll be missed when they go away. Of course, in 8th edition, the title factions were basically Death Guard versus Space Marines, but in 9th edition, Necrons have come into the fore. It was Necrons versus Space Marines in all their starter boxes that followed the Indomitus launch, and in particular, I think that the Recruit and the Elite kits do remain a very interesting deal right now. Really quite cool recent miniatures that I think Games Workshop have largely done quite well with. Plus, these kits also escaped the price rises that Games Workshop did throughout 9th edition, so at least relative to the rest of their range, they're looking like an even better deal by comparison now. The reason that it's relevant is that Games Workshop will almost certainly replace these in 10th edition. We're rumoured to be getting Space Marines versus Tyranids, so I'd guess they'd have a 3-layer starter set similar to these. They do like to have at least a fairly cheap and affordable way to people to break into Warhammer 40k. It just makes sense with them to give a budget type option and attracts more people who might go on to spend more on other things later. 10th edition is rumoured to be around about June or July time. It's really not too far away at the moment, so if you did have your eye on any of these, would bear in mind that the time is ticking for these kits. If you were thinking about picking them up, then getting them at any discount isn't the worst. I'll leave links to Element Games in the UK and Amazon in the US. Both of those generally do sell them at cheaper than Games Workshop's prices. Anything bought through them also helps out the channel a little and doesn't cost you any more. Let's talk about the deals though and how much they might be missed. Personally, I'd say that the very best deal out of them is probably just the small box set, the Recruit box set. It's £32.50, €40 or $50, and in this one you get a little contingent of Necrons and Space Marines. You get a Royal Warden, 10 Necron Warriors, 3 Scarab Swarms as part of the Necron Warrior sprue, the Primaris Lieutenant with the Storm Shield and the Volkite Pistol, and 5 Assault Intercessors that are a bit more monoposed than the big plastic kit ones. They are split between two different factions, though fairly popular ones, I guess. You can often find Space Marine or Necron players who might be able to split this with you if you only want one. I think perhaps the most interesting little buying statistic about this one, though, is that the box set costs around about the same price as an entire box of Necron Warriors separately. It's literally the same price in Europe, and the Warriors kit actually costs more in certain places of the world, like I think Australia and New Zealand. Basically, it's a no-brainer not to pick up a Necron Warrior box set. If you're going to buy that box, then pick up a free Royal Warden as well as a bunch of Space Marines that you could either swap, eBay, or just paint up as a painting project. It does mean that if you were looking to acquire Necron Warriors, it's probably worth to buy them through this kit while it still exists, rather than wait till 10th edition when the kit goes and you're going to be getting a Necron Warrior box set for the same price as this, but none of the extra goodies. In terms of theoretical discount, compared with what Games Workshop would sell these for separately, it works out at around about 63% off. In pounds and dollars, that's around about $85 or £55 saved with what I'd expect Games Workshop to charge for these miniatures individually, though I would bear in mind they do charge a lot for their character models, which skews this a bit. Still though, I think in terms of theoretical discount from Games Workshop, if you did want all the models in this box, this is about the best in all of Warhammer 40k right now, and gets you a very decent chunk of miniatures on the board for a cost that's less than a lot of their standard battle line troops. around 365 points, or about 7 points per dollar. Again, that's very high by current Games Workshop standards. Overall, I'd certainly consider it a useful discount option to have around. I think it's going to be unhelpful to Space Marine and Necron players to lose this one. Currently the miniatures are pretty handy in game as well. Necron warriors are great, the Royal Wardens perhaps a bit niche, but Scarab Swarms are excellent objective grabbers. Assault Intercessors are pretty fine, and the Lieutenant with the Volkite pistol is a very competitive character choice. He's very cheap and gives you a nice defensive loadout. The other interesting one I think is the Elite box set, basically the bigger brother of the Recruit one. This one's £65, €80 or $99. It gets you the same sort of troops choices as the Recruit box set, but you trade out the characters for the next rank of models up. A Necron Overlord versus a Space Marine Captain sculpt, the ones from the Indomitus box set originally, plus some Scorpec destroyers facing off against some Space Marine Outrider bikes. I do quite like the way that there's no overlap with the characters, so you could feasibly get the one and the other if you wanted some slightly more bulky armies. It's a pretty reasonable way to jump into either or both factions. In terms of theoretical discounts, compared with Games Workshop selling these separately, this one is at about the same sort of level as the Recruit box set, 60% discount roughly, and saving around $145 or £95 with what Games Workshop would sell these for separately. Overall, I feel like it's fairly comparable with the Recruit one. You get maybe a little bit less in terms of points per dollar, but it's still not bad. Again, I feel like after this one goes away, things like the Primaris Outriders and the Necron Scorpex are going to be a bit more expensive to obtain. Probably a fair few people just buying the last dregs of them off resellers on eBay who got them from things like this or the Imperium magazine. Finally, I will just briefly mention the Command box set as well, though I feel like it's probably not quite as much of a good deal at the moment. It's £110, €145 or $185, and it basically gets you the same thing as the Elite Edition of 40k, but add in a bunch of terrain and the 9th Edition 40k rulebook. The 9th Edition rulebook would have been a really nice incentive towards the start of the edition, but now we know that it's going to be outmoded fairly quickly. It just probably isn't really worth accounting for the value, unless you just want a big book full of pretty pictures and some lore, which isn't the worst I suppose. Still though, between that and these bits of terrain, I just don't really think it quite adds up to an extra £50 or $85 worth of value compared with the Elite set. I feel like the previous ones are just a fair bit more better deals at the moment. Overall, I think it'll be a bit annoying when some of these go away. I'm sure they'll be missed by Necron players in particular. I'm sure Space Marine players will still have a decent amount of discount options available though. As starter sets go, I feel like they've been pretty decent value compared with most 40k, maybe not quite reaching the heady heights as that No Fear box set in 8th edition though, at least in my opinion. Let me know your thoughts though down in the comments below, and if you were thinking about picking any of them up, I do have those Element Games and Amazon affiliate links if you're interested in supporting the channel. If you've enjoyed the video, feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics, and if you'd like to support the creation of future videos, as well as those affiliate links, I do also have a Patreon page as well, and you can find that in the video description below. Channel patrons do get a fair few advantages, seeing certain videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things happen next on the channel, and automatic entry into the regular prize giveaways with the chance to win some really big model kits each month. If any of that sounds good to you, or you'd just like to help support, the link is down in the video description. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.